Hi, welcome to Lake Harriet Spiritual Community, a center for conscious living. We're a spiritual, diverse community that honors all divine paths. So welcome. And welcome to those that are sitting here masked and adequately socially distanced. And those of you that are on Zoom, thank you for inviting me into your home. I'm Tina Frontera. And I've been a member here since 2004, actually. So it's been a long time. And I do a movement meditation service along with speaking. And the reason I do it is because we all learn differently, right? Some of us do a really good job of listening, but sometimes we tune out after somebody speaks. So by having movement and meditation, it kind of helps to really absorb what the theme is for the time. How often have we walked out of a talk and it's like, oh, an hour later we can't remember what the topic was even about. So that's what we'll be doing today. Just a couple of announcements. At 10:30 today, we'll have Linda Austin. So she'll be on Zoom, and so if you want to listen to her, she's a wonderful speaker. She's been a longtime member of Lake Harriet Spiritual Community. And there are lots of things that are happening here every day. Just check our website, lakeharrietspiritualcommunity.org, and that's where you can find out what's happening every day of the week on Zoom, a few things in person, and it's also where you can donate. Okay. So our theme for today is, what does peace look like? What does peace look like? And if we look at the definitions of peace, we see the words harmony, tranquility, freedom from disturbance, freedom of war, a time without war. Then what does freedom look like? What does peace look like? That's even harder, right? So it's hard to describe what it looks like. So what did we do? We developed symbols. The peace symbol, right? The peace dove, the peace fig tree leaf, whatever, branch. And still it's sometimes not very tangible. When you ask children what does peace look like, they say butterflies, flowers, faces, petting my animal's fur, a kiss from mom. Conversely, when you ask children who are living in camps in Syria what peace means to them, they say it's going back home. It's experiencing home again, not living in this refugee camp, but sleeping in my own bed, being on my own porch, reading, being with my family. So peace has very different meaning to children all around the world. Spiritually, we might say it's a deep, deep tranquility. Okay, and we know it when we feel it. Many of us have felt it on occasion. And when we can sense it with all of our senses and we can taste, touch, feel it, it almost feels transcendental. It almost feels holy. And when we're in rooms with other people who are also peaceful, that's really, really a wow experience. And that's oftentimes why we come here in these doors at this place, because sometimes we can feel it even better together. So John Lennon said, if everyone demonstrated peace instead of wanting a new TV, then there'd be peace. And Gandhi said something very similar. The day that the power of love overrides the love of power, the world will know peace. So there is a cartoon. He doesn't really do cartoons. He does sort of social commentary by drawing. Sachs, he's in the Star Tribune in the commentary section. And after our riots this summer, he drew a picture of a woman, and all around her were the beautiful things about Minneapolis, okay? The beautiful city of lakes, the Minneapolis River, our parks, our trees. And there she was sitting there with tears down her eyes saying, my Minneapolis. And I have to say, I kind of felt that way too. I love this city, and it was a very difficult time. So, one of George Floyd's last words, if you recall, was mama. And women all across the world heard that word. And lo and behold, 40 Black women decided to run for public office in the state of Minnesota alone. In Minnesota alone. That's amazing because they felt now is the time that I could be heard, and now is the time that I can make a difference, and it ain't going to be done with testosterone. We really got to listen to each other. They've actually done studies, and it's the US military that did the studies, and they found that peace is likely to be kept 35% more if women are involved in the peace agreements. And the peace agreements are liable to be kept for greater than 15 years. So, for whatever reason, an impact is made by listening and being gentle with one another. So, with COVID and the riots, this is really the time to think about how we can make a difference, and how we can make a difference because we're all one and we're all vulnerable and we all have this opportunity. So, to quote Dalai Lama says, global peace must begin with each person attaining an inner peace. And that's why we have themes like this as our themes, because it's so difficult. We all want some of these things like peace, but it's hard to remember the basic principles because we get caught up in our stuff every day. So there's a memoir that I was reading a few months ago about a young man that decided to ride his bike from California through Mexico and South America to the bottom of Chile. And he was also struggling with himself. And he was raised by very, very staunch, rigid Christian parents. And he was struggling because he understood from a very young age that he was gay. And those two just didn't mesh in the culture that he was grown up in. He never acted physically on his gayness. And so he decided to go on this trip, and it really ended up being sort of a vision quest for him in many ways. Can you imagine going on a trip that far for a year, not knowing exactly what the weather's going to be, having breakdowns, getting lost, sometimes having to rely on people that you don't know to help you, receiving the kindness of perfect strangers that are really not as well off as you sometimes at all. And he just really was able to put his life into perspective. We sometimes think our problems are so large, and he was able to say, okay, I can do this. I can handle this. Everything is in perspective. I know that within Mother Earth and within this universe, there's still a sense of peace and order that exists even when things are kind of all jumbled up. We know that the sun goes up every day and it rises every evening, right? The tide goes out and the tide comes in, right? On a real regular basis. Those are things that we can rely on, and that really helps our stability. So it is difficult, though, to get there because it's a challenge. We all want peace of mind, but really it maybe is peace from mind, right? Because so often we are at war with ourselves sometimes. So this first part, I really want us to focus on ourselves when we do our first movement. And you'll notice that I'll be going in 3 parts today. The first part on ourselves, the second part with us in society, and then the third part a little more spiritually oriented. So I'd like to invite everyone to stand up. And we're going to do 5 minutes of some movement here. And the first thing that I usually like to start out with is getting rid of what no longer serves us, right? Because as long as we've got all that gunk from the day, the week, the year, our childhood, it's really hard to make room for anything else to come in. It's hard to have that peace of mind. So we're going to do some Qigong movements in Chinese medicine as well. Qigong and Chinese medicine like acupuncture. It's all about getting rid of stuck energy, okay? So first, let's start out with some tapping. Tapping on the chest, the thymus area. And as you're doing this, don't forget to breathe out. And during this time, think of anything that you want to get rid of from today, from this week, from the year, from being in quarantine, anything that you want to get rid of that no longer serves you. Something that you said that you shouldn't have, and just the opposite as well. Just think about it, get rid of it, see what you can do to let it go through breathing and through tapping. Unsticking any of those feelings that are there. Regret, anxiety. And now we're going to free up our bodies, okay? Because things get stuck in our bodies, and we're going to take that tapping, and a common Qigong move is to then take the one hand, go down your arms, shake up those cells in your arms to the tips of your fingers, and then back up. All the while thinking, I am freeing anything that is stuck in these cells. Also think about your physical health as you're doing this. Is there an ache that you're going over your shoulder, over your chest, anything that's hurting? Think about stuck energy. Now we're at the chest. We're going to go down to our belly. And stay here just for a minute, because this is where a lot of stuck anger sometimes happen. Those of you that do chakra work, okay, this chakra sometimes is where that rage can sometimes stick. So if there's any rage, keep at it here, okay. And then now, towards your back, kind of where your kidneys are, okay. This in chakra work is sometimes where fear is. It's also where your kidneys are located, okay? Your kidneys get rid of all kinds of things that don't serve you, right? Can you tell I'm also a nurse? Okay. Also, here are your adrenal glands. That's where some of those hormones are that kind of help with the flight or fight syndrome. They also can sometimes contribute to increased hypertension. So just kind of let everything sort of flow there. Now tap down your back, down the backs of your legs while you're bending over, and go down to your knees, lightly on your knees, but lots of us a little older are starting to have problems with your knees, so just gentle tapping. Okay, and down your calves, and bend your knees slightly, and make sure your feet are slightly apart, so that if you can touch your feet, that would be great. And if you can even go further and touch Mother Earth, touch Mother Earth. The earth that nourishes all. Oh, and bring up a little energy from Mother Earth while you're doing that, and tap up the front of your legs, freeing up energy to allow peace of mind to enter. Back to your belly. Ooh. Now I'm going to invite you to take your hands off your belly and just a little shaking of the hands. Okay, flicking off any stuff, any more stuff. Just give it to the universe. It's not yours anymore to hang on to. Let it go. Let it go. And then just a little bit if you want to. Just, try shaking a little bit. And if you're stuck in quarantine with young ones, This is a great thing to do with young ones, and do it for about 3 minutes until everyone's falling down laughing. We're not going to do it for that long, but it's almost like jogging a full mile if you shake for several minutes. But just think of just shaking off anything else that's left. There ain't nothing left. There ain't nothing left. Okay, I'm going to ask you to stop. And we're going to do a Qigong move called paintbrush hands. We're going to smooth out the energy. So with your outside of your hands pointing out, come up and scan your body, making sure to breathe in and out. And then come down with your palms away. Come up, making sure you're breathing, and we'll repeat this several times. Kind of think of it as smoothing out your energy. Quelling, calming those feelings. Spreading tranquility. Allowing for peace. Now I'm going to ask you to put your hands on your heart and have a seat. So, us and the rest of the world. Gandhi said, an eye for an eye will only make the whole world blind. Okay? I get that. I get that. And right now, we're in this era of tearing down so many things. We're tearing down statues. We're tearing down, and we don't know exactly how we're going to build. How are we going to create the peace? And so I might suggest that we consider, maybe instead of tearing down, can we figure out how to build upon all the good and build upon all of our humanness? So maybe instead of throwing away Christopher Columbus, might we put up 3 plaques by Columbus? And maybe everybody, every statue that we have of everybody, right? Because we all did good. We all were human, and there's all potential to learn. So from Christopher Columbus, his plaque might say, we learned about world trade from Christopher Columbus. Okay? About his humanness, he didn't honor indigenous people. And about what we could learn from that to build is how to put together great world trade while we are honoring people. And go on to the next statue. That person figured out how to do that third thing of trade while honoring person. But this is where they are human. This is what they didn't do right. But we could learn from this. And on and on. So, just a thought. Mother Teresa said, if we have no peace, it's because we've forgotten that we belong to each other. We have forgotten that we belong to each other. So Cory Booker, folks remember him, he was running for president. And so he graduated from law school in the 1990s. And he was also in Newark. Newark in the 1960s, as you may recall, was like a lot of other cities back then in the 60s that really had a downturn after the riots in the 60s. And he wanted to help Newark. And so he went to a female leader in Newark called the Queen Mother. She was kind of maybe our equivalent in Minneapolis then to Sharon Sales Belton, in the 1990s. And he said, I want to help. And she said, well, come on a trip with me, and we're going to view Newark together. And she said, what do you see? Well, I see poverty. I see open drug markets. I see homelessness. And she said, no. You can't help us. You can't help us. What you see outside of yourself is a reflection of yourself. So he went to her and asked her if she'd be his mentor. And she was. And so he did quite a bit for Newark. And President Obama then later on asked him to be in charge of the Office of Urban Affairs. He turned that down and said, no, I have work here to do. And he became mayor of Newark. And what did he do? Because he was thinking outside of the box here. He hired the Dalai Lama. He hired the Dalai Lama as a consultant to put on a 3-day workshop of sorts to talk about peace. And in particular, his interest was dealing with, at least Corey's was at the time, recidivism in inmates. Okay, how to prevent inmates from going back to crime. And Gandhi was a good one for that, or the Dalai Lama, was a good one for that, because he really emphasized that we are not separate from each other. They are not separate from us. So I would have liked to have gone to that workshop. But, equal time here. So I'm going to quote a Republican too, right? Because we're an open community. Okay, so Reagan, I never thought I'd quote Reagan, but he says, peace is not the absence of conflict. It's the ability to have conflict by peaceful means. So maybe instead of avoiding, blaming, fleeing, fighting, doing all the things that we're kind of seeing now, lashing out loud, maybe if we use compassion as our compass, okay? So there's a story, before we get to our next exercise, of a person that was on a flight to Tunisia. And he thought about canceling it because there had just been riots there. And he'd heard that the downtown area that he was going to was closed. His hotel was closed. And the restaurants were closed. But he got on the plane anyways. And he looked around and he realized, oh my goodness, I am the only person from the United States here. There were Tunis, Libyans, Algerians, but he was the only one from the United States. And, they were looking at him as sort of an oddity, and they were really, really, really curious about him. So they started having some discussions with him, and they were very curious about democracy. And so, is it true that they have riots in the United States too? Yes. Is it true that they have strikes? Yes. That's part of the First Amendment right. And then, well, if that's true about democracy, why did you kill bin Laden without a trial? And he was kind of taken aback, and he said, oh, right, I agree. We should not have done that. I agree. And then they said, do all Americans agree with that? And then he felt kind of stuck. Can I speak for all in the United States? And he said, yes, we believe in trial before execution. So, peace can't be kept by force. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He may have already been judged. Yes. So in some ways, that traveler was acting as an ambassador for peace for the United States in so many ways. So now we're going to do our next exercise, and now Gary's going to play some music. Normally it doesn't work on Zoom, but he's got some newfangled software, so we're going to see. If it doesn't, let him know.
Is this the first song?
Yep, it's going to be the first song. So I invite everybody to stand up. And so our first exercise was on kind of shaking us up and getting rid of what no longer serves us. Now we're going to basically look at getting stronger. Look at getting stronger. So I invite you to stand, feet slightly apart, knees slightly bent, and just stand there for a minute. Like a tree standing in a river. Your feet are grounded, and water from that river is flowing over your feet, and you're standing strong against that stream. Make sure to breathe in and breathe out while you're standing strong. Strong, healthy, like that tree, going to be here for many, many years, stable and strong. Then I invite you to raise up your arms or your branches to the sky. Oh, bringing in the sun, bathing in the sun, and stretch out those arms while you're at it, making sure you're not only using your mind, but stretching your body too. It'll feel good too. This is also one Qigong move to sort of clear your sinuses, by the way. So in the wintertime, if you've got blocked sinuses, standing for about 5 minutes like this sometimes helps people. But here we are, reaching to the sky, reaching to our ancestors. Those wise ancestors were wisdom too. We're going to turn to one side, taking in the sun from a different direction, seeing things from a different perspective. And slowly turn to the other side, staying there and stretching, seeing things from that perspective. Back to the center. We're going to take one palm pointed up to the sky, the other palm down, point down to Mother Earth. We're going to connect the heavens and the earth. And let's imagine ourselves also acting as a channel for peace. A channel for peace coming through us, from the sky, through us to the ground, from the ground back up through us to the universe. A channel of peace. So now let's just reverse that. Reverse your hands. Remember, palm down of the other hand, palm up of the other hand. Same thing. It's all about balance too. In Qigong, Tai Chi, Chinese medicine. We don't want to be a one-sided channel. So let's collect peaceful energy from up above, down through us as a channel of peace to Mother Earth, nurturing Mother Earth who needs help from us now. Bring up her nurturing energy through us and out into the universe. Slowly bring both arms to the center. And imagine your heart as big as it can be, even reaching as far as your hands in front of you. Your big, beautiful, compassionate heart. Now expand your arms while expanding your heart, and have your arms go as far back as they can, with your chest as far forward as you can, having your heart reach as many lives as they can. And hold that pose, giving love. Slowly bring your arms back, bringing love back to you. Peace of heart back to you. Slowly bring your hands from out there to your heart, filling your chest with love and peace. I invite you to have a seat. So, Thich Nhat Hanh says, every breath we take, every step we make can be filled with peace, joy, and serenity. Has anyone had the opportunity to see the Dalai Lama live? It was a great experience. I can't remember how many years ago. It was in a big, big auditorium at the University of Minnesota. Just a packed room. And you go in there and there's this little man looking, just smiling all the time. And giggling at his own jokes, and they really weren't very funny, but he found them all very funny, and you couldn't help, even sometimes, though you couldn't understand all of his jokes, but not sort of just giggling with him. I mean, he was just so cute. I don't have any other words other than really cute. He emitted these magical powers of delight just by being in the same room with him, with thousands of people there with him. It was just amazing. And how wonderful it would be if the world were full of thousands of Dalai Lamas. Thousands of Dalai Lamas, right? Who could carry across the world the same messages that he has. He has heavy responsibility. He has seen tragedy. But we can also be laughful, playful, and have deep respect for everyone and every religion. We all have that capability around the world to be mini Dalai Lamas. Wayne Dyer said, we can have peace become a lens through which we see the world. Be it, live it, radiate it, and also act as though it exists while you're still trying to build it. So the challenge for all of us is we need to find a way in our own worlds how to move our own small piece of life in a more positive direction and keep seeing that inner connectedness between everybody, right? In between all of the many crises that we're having. I'm going to read a 3-sentence passage that I found, and I'm sorry, I don't know who I found it from. When great souls die, after a period of time, peace blooms. Slowly, spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be better, for they existed. So if we all act together on just basic universal concepts, just as great souls before us, the universal concepts of compassion, generosity, presence, gratitude, honesty, and build upon that good and build upon those principles, we can help create a great awakening force for peace. So I invite you to stand up for our last exercise. And we're going to do some more flowing Qigong movement for a few minutes. So again, legs slightly apart, knees slightly bent. Just stand there for a while, breathing like that tree in the river. And get grounded. Arms up. Put one foot slightly ahead. And we're going to do an exercise called parting of the clouds in Qigong. A slow parting of clouds. This is clearing the energy, not really of yourself now anymore, but helping to clear the world. So just think that you're clearing and you're unifying. Parting the clouds, bringing clarity. Bringing clarity to yourself and to all that surrounds you. I'm going to ask you to switch feet, put the other foot in front, same movement. Clearing the clouds, making a way for peace to come to all that surrounds you. This space, your home, your neighborhood, the world. Then I'm going to ask you to come back to center. With the arms in front of you and palms up, do almost the opposite motion. Bring peace and clearing towards you. So it's like a backward swim. Bring it towards you. Reward yourself. Bring it towards you. Bring that peace towards you. Slowly, steadily, and imagine what that peace towards you would look like. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Okay. And we're going to do one of the movements we did before, but we're going to do it in a flowing way. We're going to open our hearts and close. Open upon inhaling and close our arms about exhaling. opening our heart to the world and bringing love back to us. Bringing that tranquility, that peaceful feeling. That absence of war with ourselves. Now we're going to take our hands and put them about 6 inches away from us. Both palms facing, but each hand about 4 inches apart. And similar to one other move, we're going to move our hands up and down, but this time we're going to do them opposite of each other. And then when you come down, the one hand that was in back will be in front. So it's almost like a shallow circle that you are doing with your hands. And what we are doing with this is, again, kind of just smoothing out the energy in Qigong. But you can also do whatever visualization you want to help you spread peace and tranquility to any part of your body that you want as well. So if any part of your body is feeling achy, you could even focus on that for a minute as you're passing your hands over, sending some healing thoughts to that part of your body. Spreading peace. Now we're going to stop with our hands parallel to each other, imagining some of that energy right there between your hands, and just kind of create a little ball around that loving, peaceful energy that's been created. What does peace look like? Imagine that ball any way you would like, but as a ball of peace. And hold on to it. And now I invite you to raise your hands up and give that ball of energy out to the world. Let go of it freely, allowing it to reach anyone and everyone with peaceful wishes. I invite you then to come down slowly, touch Mother Earth, and also give her some peace and love. Bring up, scoop up some of her peace and love. Bring it up through you, and up to your heart. So with your hands on your heart, I invite you to have a seat, and we're going to do a guided meditation with a little bit of silence. And those of you who are on Zoom, stay put. After the meditation, I will ring a little gong, and there'll be a song and a kind of a cool YouTube to watch. So stay tuned here. So here we are. I invite everyone to take a deep breath. I like to have my hands palms up on my knees, but whatever's comfortable for you. Many of you, all of you, might be experienced meditators. I also like to meditate with my tongue at the roof of my mouth. I won't be doing that as I'm speaking, but I invite you now, whatever feels comfortable, yeah, whatever feels comfortable. Take a deep breath in and then out. And then with the next in breath, imagine you're breathing in light through your nostrils. Beautiful white light, clean UV light through your nostrils, down through to your lungs. From your lungs, it goes to your circulatory system, down your body through your arteries, up your body through your veins. And with the next breath, just imagine that white light and more white light circulating and coming in to your body. And then imagine that white light now surrounding your entire body, kind of like as if you were in the womb. White light in a safe and secure environment of your mother's womb. Enveloped with light inside and security outside. Now imagine in one of your hands is Mother Earth. Small, vulnerable, beautiful Mother Earth. And send her some love and some peace. And as you do that, imagine the light that emanates from you enveloping Mother Earth. And imagine Mother Earth surrounded by your loving light. And see all the people around Mother Earth with that same beautiful light emanating the entire circumference, shining back at you. Stay with that thought, imagining what peace would look like in silence for a minute here. Okay.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
So normally we do a closing circle. So I invite everyone to stand
In
up.
times of
And we're going to do a virtual circle where you are,
events, people
with
will
arms
sometimes
outstretched
email or
towards
send a
one
Facebook
another.
message to a writer,
If you
and they
are
will
with
say,
anyone else, or if you are in this room, just imagine yourself in our circle. Mother, Father, God, Spirit, angels, ancestors, all who love us. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful Mother Earth. Thank you for the love that we receive. Thank you for the ability to recognize it. And as we walk out of here today or walk in life today, help us to all be ambassadors for peace. Thank you.